You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
A former member of the notorious Aces and Eights of TNA, we've got Garett Bischoff joining us this evening. Garett, how's it going, bud?
It's going great, guys. How are you guys doing?
Well, it's cold up in Indianapolis, and it's I don't know how you're doing down there. Well, you still snowed in North Carolina?
Not so much snow. It's more like ice and freezing rain, you know. It's hard to travel up and down these roads because you got so much black ice everywhere.
Right, that's nasty stuff. Garett, we were actually talking to Mark Merrow yesterday, and your name came up. Mark was telling us about how when you were a little bish, he would drive you. And do you have a sister?
I do. I have one younger sister, Montana.
Okay. He said he drove you and your sister around quite often, but you were probably too young to remember anything, so he didn't give us any stories to, throw at you to remind you of, I guess. But,
on the contrary, I can remember a few times. He's me and my sister, Johnny B. Bad, his wife, and their daughter, and I don't know if you guys remember Das Wonder Kid, Alex Wright.
Oh yeah,
all going to
we certainly do.
Going to Six Flags Atlanta together.
Oh wow, that would be an interesting time.
It was a good time. We had a lot of fun. Yeah,
you said you were
one of the things that stuck in my head.
You said you were great.
Well, I don't know about that. I may have just been good at putting on a good act, but
just on your best behavior that day, right?
Yeah. You get Johnny B. Bad and Das Wonder Kid, Alex Wright. Of course you are.
Yes, exactly. You know what? And I think you've come to probably understand that it is impossible to talk to Garett Bischoff without your father's name coming up. It happens. It's just the way it is. As a person who's been around wrestling for quite a while, I remember your father when he was in the AWA, doing commentary and announcing at the table. Mm-hmm. What's it like, Garett, growing up in that atmosphere? And I guess what did it take to make you decide, I want to be part of this business? And instead of following necessarily in your father's footsteps, you decided to actually get in the ring and be a wrestler.
Well, that's kind of three different questions. The first one, what was it like? It was like living in the best dream you could live in all the time. It's the best way I can put it. I was fortunate enough to be able to be around these guys and these characters and this lifestyle that is larger than life itself, and it's to be able to be around that all the time and grow up around it, hear it, smell it, see it. A lot of these guys were, I can remember so many of these guys that were just, they're so cool to me as a young kid, and they take me in. Rick Steiner taught me how to play gin rummy in the back of a locker room. I can remember guys, Sting and Scotty Riggs and Diamond Dallas Page, and these guys, they'd get me in the ring, and when I was a kid, I couldn't, if I ran too close to the ropes, I'd knock my head on the middle rope because I was too short to hit them, so I just had to do the best I could, but I was very fortunate to be able to be around all these guys, and they were all very good to me, and I still talk to a lot of them to this day, and some of which I had the fortunate opportunity to be able to get in the ring with when I started my career, which was even cooler because they became not only childhood friends and family, some of them, but mentors, and that progressed to a different level when I got of age to start in the business, and it was all it's very humbling, it's very cool, and I love every minute of it. What was the second one there?
What made you decide to actually, that you wanted to be a wrestler? You didn't want to follow in Dad's footsteps as far as an announcer on the business end of it. You wanted to get in the ring and get physical.
That's right. Well, I can remember very young leaving the buildings in Macon, Georgia when I was a kid. My dad's Corvette, I was probably no more than 10 years old or 11 years old. I got to skip school. He let me play hooky and, to go going around the locker rooms and watching wrestling shows. I can remember getting in his car and driving home back to Atlanta afterwards and going and just knowing that that's what I wanted to do. I can remember sitting there fantasizing, staring out the window, like, well, what's my name going to be? What's my wrestling name going to be? What would I wear? What am I going to do? What's my move going to be? So I knew very young that that's what I wanted to do. Of course, it's a long shot dream. There's a lot of us that have it. I'm fortunate enough to be able to have participated and achieved a lot of it. Maybe not the whole way, but I'm still young and there's still plenty of time to go.
Did Dad try to talk you out of it at all?
Yes, he did, with everything that he had.
And why is that? What did he say to you, I guess?
Well, he's like, my dad's a smart man, and I guess anybody, not just him, but anybody in the business knows how hard it is, and the road that you go up and down to be in this business. The duty you got to pay, the lifestyle that it is, the toll it takes on your body, the toll it takes on relationships, the toll that it takes on a number of things. And you can run that gauntlet, and at the end of the day, you still might end up with nothing but a bunch of broken bones, a few concussions, and nothing to show for it other than, a few YouTube clips. And it can be very destructive. It can be very negative. However, there's the flip side of that, and it can be very positive. It can be very fun. It can be very, it can be a very good thing. It just really goes into how it comes down to how you go into where's your head at when you go into this. You got to know that there's that chance that you may not be one of the top main eventers, and you gotta do it because you love it, not because for no other reason other than you love this business. Nobody else goes out there and gets the hell kicked out of them day in and day out, and lives out of a bag in a Motel 6 for minimum pay. In the hopes to obviously get to the top, but let's face it, it's a rock star kind of business, and not everybody becomes rock stars. But we do it because we love it. And I knew going into this that, hey, this may be a lifelong deal. It may not, but I love this business. I respect this business, and I'm going to go in. I'm going to learn from everybody I can learn from. I want to do the best that I can do for as long as I can do it. And when my time's up. We'll figure it out. But, nobody knows when that's going to be.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. We have the great pleasure of talking to Garett Bischoff. And I forgot to introduce my partners in crime tonight. Good grief, shame on me. We've got the bearded wonder, Zane Paisley. Zane, how are you?
Well, I'm doing well. A couple weeks ago, I was nicknamed Das Wonderbeard. So
yes, you were Das Wonderbeard.
So thank you for bringing that back up, Garett. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Not so much. And we also have the NWA Continental Champion himself, the Morning Star, Will Huckabee. William, how art thou?
I'm doing great, and I would also like to note that I'm the one who gave Zane the nickname Das Wonderbeard because he is amazingly awesome with one of the most luxurious beards in all of wrestling podcasting.
Oh, stop that.
I would have to agree with that.
Two things. I got a pretty good beard going these days myself, A. And B, I don't think the name Das Wonder anything has been said more than it has tonight in the last 10 years.
Yeah, Twitter's lighting up right about now, guys. Without, we're going to go ahead and kick it on over. Let's get a wrestler's perspective with Garett here for a minute. Let's kick it on over to the champ himself, Will Huckabee, the Morning Star.
Oh, yeah. Garett, first off, being the son of Garett Bischoff, did you feel the pressure that a lot of guys feel being second and third generation wrestlers? How was that pressure?
Well, absolutely, I felt it. No doubt about it. I still feel it to this day in everything I do when it comes to this, to this world. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying before. going into this, I knew that it was always going to be there. It doesn't matter how bad I was going to be, how much I would mess up, how great I was going to be, how good I would do. It didn't matter, because it would always come, everybody would overlook that, good or bad. It would always come down to, oh, well, that's Garett Bischoff's kid. So if I messed up, it would be, oh, see there, he's only doing it because he's Garett Bischoff's kid. If I did good, you know, they would find some way to go, oh, wow, he only got that spot because he's Garett Bischoff's kid. So I knew that going into it, but it didn't matter to me. I don't care what other people think. I knew that I was going to go out there and do the best that I could do. And at the end of the day, when I came back from doing it, if I messed up, I'd take my lickings like anybody else, you know, and say, yes, sir, thank you, sir, and I'll do better next time, you know.
Now, speaking of taking a licking, you know, being a green and wrestling's full of traditions and stuff, and I'm a wrestler, so I've gone through it all of paying your dues. Did the boys in the back, you know, there at TNA, do they still make you pay your dues as being a greenie and stuff?
Listen, everybody pays their dues. It doesn't matter if you've been, if you know, unless you, in my opinion, this is just me personally speaking. Until the day you die, you're always paying a due somewhere. That's just the way it is in the business. But it all comes down to respect, you know. And I've never met a more respectful group of people than in the wrestling world, to be honest with you. When it comes to any locker room, independent shows, TNA, wrestlers are a different breed, and I think that respect and being humble is just driven into us from the get-go. And that didn't change when I got to TNA. You know, when I showed up at TNA, it took a little while, obviously, but at the end of the day, I ended up becoming, some of my best friends are now guys that, you know, from the locker room. And it was because I went in with the same attitude as if I was nobody, because I was nobody. You know, to this day, I'm still not, it's not like I'm anybody special today. I just go in there and I'm the most respectful person I can be. I do the best that I can do. I ask questions. I still sit back and listen to guys that have been in the business longer than I have. And, you know, it's every day is a learning experience. You never stop getting better. You never stop learning. And the minute that you think you know everything when it comes to being out in that ring is the minute you need to hang it up and go find another job.
Now, you had and I'm going to say unfortunate, because me, myself, you know, I'm on the indies right now. And a lot of guys get into this business, you know, their first couple of years, they're on the indies and they're in these small shows and armories and high schools. And so they're able to learn the ropes, you know, and make mistakes. And it's okay because there's only, you know, anywhere from 50 to 200, 300 people seeing it. You're learning the ropes on national TV, therefore of a nationwide audience. So any little small mistake that you did was right there on the screen to be blown up and criticized. How stressful was that, knowing that if you made a mistake, you was going to read about it the very next day, if not minutes later on the internet?
You know, it's always stressful, and there's no way around it. You're always going to stress about it. However, you got to always remind yourself that usually the only people that are going to sit there and watch every little mistake that they think that you might possibly make, just so that they can get on their, you know, throw on their keyboard warrior vest and go to town on the internet and type about it. They're the last ones who really matter. You know, they're get in the ring and try to do it, and then come talk to me about it. You know what I mean? Everybody makes mistakes. I'm sure they make the same mistakes when they're when they're dunking fries or flipping burgers and stocking shelves. I'm sure they make mistakes. So, you know what I mean? Everybody makes mistakes, and if you want to criticize, you know, me or anybody else who gets in that ring for making a mistake, all I got to say is jump in the ring, come run a couple rounds with me or anybody else for that matter, and will tell me how easy it is, and then we'll talk.
Speaking of a couple rounds, let's kick it on over to the next round to Doc Thunderbeard himself. Zane Paisley, you're in the ring now with Garett Bischoff.
Hi, Garett. Once again, thanks so much for coming on. I'm glad you can rock and roll with us.
Thank you guys.
Did you grow up in Florida, or did you grow up in Wyoming?
I did not. Well, I kind of grew up all over the place, to be honest with you. I was born in Minneapolis. which is where, my dad got his start in AWA.
That's where the AWA was.
We moved to Atlanta, around the elementary school age. And we were there till, I think, my sophomore year of high school. We moved to Phoenix, Arizona after that. And then as I got older, I started going back and forth between Arizona and Wyoming. I was a house painter. So in the summertime, I would go up to Wyoming and paint houses up there to get out of the heat and work on the job sites. And then in the winters, when the snow would come in, I'd hightail it back down to Phoenix where it was warm and paint down there until I got into wrestling school. My first wrestling school was Knox Pro out in California with Rikishi and the Black Pearl and Gangrel. Those are the guys.
Gangrel, great guy.
Yeah, awesome guy. Those are the guys that broke me in. So Knox Pro out there in Cali with the Black Pearl, Rikishi, and Gangrel. Those are the guys that got me going on this.
Well, and they're huge into Save Independent Wrestling right now, and it's awesome that Rikishi is going to be a new inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame. So
it is, and all those guys deserve it. You've never met a better group of guys, especially when it comes to going back to what we were talking about before. Teaching young guys coming in that it's all about respect. It's all about being humble. It's all about working hard, busting your ass, and just putting your nose to the grindstone and doing it. They're a great group of guys.
Well, okay, so you said Black Pearl, Rikishi, and Gangrel up at Knox Pro. They don't have any connections to your father that I know of. How did you get hooked up with them?
I mean, in the wrestling world, in the sense, is a pretty small world. So we all have connections one way or the other.
Right.
But my dad and those guys, they've known each other for off and on for a long time. But when it came down to, okay, this is what I really want to do, we're going to narrow it down. That's where I chose to go. I just got a good vibe. I went out and I visited. Just kind of sat in and watched and sat back and listened and watched and kind of see how they ran their school, and just got a good vibe from it. Coming from a martial arts background before that, you can get a good vibe from a teacher, and those guys they get it. They know how to connect with the student. They know how to teach. They love it. There's a passion for it, and you couldn't ask for anything more. So I trained with them for quite a while, and then it came time for me to leave California and come down to Florida. And when I got down here in Florida, I ended up hooking up with an old nasty boy, Brian Knobs himself.
Uh-oh.
and went to his school for a couple of years, trained there, and then I ended up eventually getting hired by TNA.
Well, I have one more question about your childhood. We've had Ernest Miller on here before, and he's an awesome guy too. And
they better call his mama.
Yeah, that's right.
They better call it.
So it's been reported that he was your instructor in karate and also Usher. Did you ever have any interaction with Usher growing up in Atlanta?
I did. We used to spar together when we were kids, actually.
Was he ever worried about his beautiful face ever getting torn up or anything?
Nah, I took it easy on him.
All right.
No, we were young, but yeah, we did. We used to spar together. Ernest the Cat, he's a great guy, great guy, great teacher. Same thing, great instructor, great role model. He was my instructor for, good Lord, a good 8 years or so, and It was he and two other guys that sat in on my black belt exam, and actually he signed off on my black belt certificate and on my national. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun working with him. I got the great opportunity to last May go up to Mason City, Iowa with Sonny Ono and Ernest the Cat. Yeah, and me and Sonny me and Ernest, I'm sorry, ended up tag teaming together and working an indie show up there. It was a lot of fun.
Well, with your extensive martial arts background, have you ever thought of doing any MMA work?
I did when I was younger. Not so much now. It's a lot of it's a lot of beating for a pipe dream. So no, I try to
for the ripe old age of 30. You're an ancient man in that realm, aren't you, Garett?
Yeah, well, when you get beat up for 30, you get old real quick.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. We are talking to Garett Bischoff. Garett, I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about WCW because I love WCW. That was still my favorite promotion of all time. And you got to see it all from the very get-go of Dad coming in to the very end. And you were about a teenager right about that time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you got to see the highs and the lows. And what was it like for you, and what kind of backlash, if any, did you get from peers at school when, WCW was at the top of the mountain and it came tumbling down quickly? And I guess where was your head at, and what were you thinking when this was all going on?
Well, at that age, at my age and any of my peers' age, nobody really understood what was going on. So I can't really say there's any backlash, other than the fact that people just like to mess with me because I was there because I was a kid,
Right.
But I mean, from a personal experience, it was, I could just tell the change in vibe, things were changing, things were different. But I didn't really, at the time, I still didn't really understand the whole full effect of it because, I wasn't involved in what was going on. So, that's a tough one to answer, backlash, no, there was none because just like everybody else, nobody else my age really knew the ins and outs of what was going on, but neither did I at the time. It wasn't until much later on in my life that I actually understood what happened and what was going on. So it was, too young, even though as a teenager, I was still too young to really understand.
Right. How close, in talking to Dad later in life, how close did Dad really come to buying WCW?
It was close. It was close. I don't know if you guys have read his book or not.
Yes, I have.
Controversy creates cash. It tells it all. It tells it all straight up in there. He'll tell you himself how close it was. It was close. I can remember sitting somewhere in Hawaii. I think there's a specific sentence in that book where it says we were sitting in Hawaii on vacation when that was going down, and it came down to a matter of a phone call. Yes, so it was close. But once again, I don't know the ins and outs, so I don't talk about it because I don't really know all the details. But it was, as far as I know, it was pretty close.
So finally, you got rolling in. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I just said, but hey, that's business. That's what happened.
Right. So when you finally got going in TNA, you came in as an official. You were Jackson James. Was this all, the plan from the very beginning? I'm going to assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were being trained to wrestle from the get-go, and you were just using this to get more knowledge of the business, maybe a little bit in the ring. Was the Jackson James name and all that just to keep the heat of the Bischoff name off of you until you were ready to, do your own thing?
There was a couple of reasons for it. I'd already been wrestling for quite some time, just under different names. So I was trying to keep as low of a profile as I could.
Right.
The second reason would be that by coming in as a referee, yes, I got to gain a lot more inside knowledge than most wrestlers get to get. Especially having a chance to work with Brian Hebner and Earl Hebner. I mean, those guys have been doing this. I mean, they're legends in this business just like anybody else. And phenomenal teachers, great guys, and they took me under their wing right away. They knew who I was right away, and they kept it a secret. And we ran the referee gimmick, and they taught me everything there is to know about doing it. And you have no idea how much more you learn from their end of things, seeing it, being in the ring, but seeing it from their point of view as opposed to being one of the guys in the ring wrestling. So it was a great deal of it was a great learning experience that not many wrestlers get to have. So that was another part of it. The third part of it was, it was my opportunity to get into the locker room, try to establish at least one or two relationships with somebody without being prejudged as, oh, this is Bischoff's kid.
Right.
You know, so, and I only needed a little bit. It's just give me a chance to, you know, kind of let you know that I'm just here to learn and be that guy and be all good. And one or two guys may have been a little pissed off about it. Oh, well, they kayfabe me, whatever. But at the end of the day, everybody learned to, you know, they realized that it was me just trying to get a little bit of just respect as the fact that I'm coming in here being, I'm here to learn. I'm the new guy. I don't want to be prejudged. I'm here to be a student. That's what I'm here for. So.
And what an awesome opportunity, Garrett. I mean, you get in the ring, you get to referee, and I think a lot of fans don't realize just what goes into the job and the importance of the job that a referee plays in a wrestling match. I mean, you got to get the bird's eye view there and be able to, you know, direct a lot of traffic and what was going on and happenings of matches and things like that. How important was that to you, Garrett, to be able to get that under your belt at such a young age?
It was extremely important. It's extremely important to everybody, including the guys that are in the ring you're working with, and that's the main focus.
Right.
It was important to me from a learning experience. But I can't put enough emphasis on how much Brian and Earl Hebner really helped me out with that, because they're the guys that really trained me when it came to TNA. They took me under their wing, and they're the ones that really, you know, after every time I come back, okay, this is how we need to tweak this. You need to do this. Don't do that. You know, and I can't thank those guys enough, and I'll never be able to thank them enough, because they're the ones that, you know, they're the ones that really got me in there. But it's, you know, a lot of people may not think about how much a referee plays in it, but, you know, they're just as much involved in the matches as the two guys working, or the four guys working. So it was a very fortunate experience for me to be able to do that.
Definitely gives you an appreciation for just, you know, how much involved they really are, and the good ones, like the Hebners that you just suggested, you don't know that they're even a part of it, I guess, as far as directing it. They're just doing the referee job, as far as you know, as a fan watching on television. But the way they do their business and they lead and they, you know, direct the match, I guess, in some points, so subtly, I guess it takes an art. It's an art.
It is an art. It really is. Wrestling's an art, and refereeing's an art. It's just as much as an art. It gets crazy in there. You got the earpiece in your ear. You're hearing people yelling at you from three different directions. You got two guys or four guys or who knows what going on in the ring. You got everything else going on. So there's absolutely, you know, I give those guys ultimate respect.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show on the Angry Marks Podcast Network, the leader in professional wrestling and mixed martial arts news and podcasts. We're going to kick it back over to the champ himself, the Morning Star Will Huckabee, your NWA Continental Champion.
Yay! Yeah, you know, you're in. So after you're working as a referee and stuff, you have your singles matches. You become a member of Aces and Eights. Now, I know Rick and Zane are going to talk to you about that whole storyline, but I want to know, how was it working with guys like Ken Anderson and the Dudley brothers and all these other guys, Luke Gallows? How much did you learn being around these guys so much?
I learned a ton. You know, Devon, we'll start with Devon. Devon, that's my brother from another mother right there. That's my boy. You know, he took me under his wing, and he's a great guy. You know, before we got the Aces and Eights thing, he and I worked a couple matches, you know, one-on-one together. And working with him was it was incredible. You know, I can't say anything other than it was great. It was incredible. It was, he taught me a lot, and he still does to this day. We still keep in contact. He does a great charity event every year here in Melbourne, Florida, for breast cancer awareness. And every year I go and we do matches, we wrestle, we do what we do, and we raise money for breast cancer, and it's a great event. Bully is another, tremendous guy on an entirely different level. He's intense. He has more passion for this business than anybody I've ever met. And he may be a hard nut to crack, as far as, be able to get more than, hey, how are you out of him? But he's one of the best guys you can ever meet in this business. He's got more respect and more knowledge and more passion for this business than anybody I've ever met. Luke Doc Gallows, we hit it off instantly. It's one of my, him and him, Nux, and Briscoe. We're like the four goon squads of the of the group there. We all still get together and go tear it up and do a good time. Luke's a great guy. He's same thing. He's got so much potential, so much charisma, and he's kicking ass over in Japan right now, and I'm happy for him. Whenever he's home and he comes out here to Florida, we try to meet up and we go slam some crab leg at the all-you-can-eat snow crab cafe there. And
is he still bullet clubbing?
Yeah, oh yeah, they're rocking that bullet club. I'm gonna throw my application in for the old bullet club over in New Japan, bro. I'm all about it. I'm gonna fill out the app and send in the old resume and see what's cracking.
Garrett, I was actually going to ask you about that because Cody Hall, the son of Scott Hall, is now a protege of theirs. Have there been any interest in going over to New Japan?
I'm always interested in having a good time and going over and having fun. It's like I said, this is my passion. This is what I love. Just because I'm not currently active doesn't mean that I've given up. I'm all about it. So any chance I get, I would love to go over to New Japan and put a little spice on it.
Now, when you were going from being a referee to actually being an in-ring wrestler, how nervous were you, and what was the mind state that you had to get into? Was there a whole different way of getting ready before the match, or what was that whole process?
Nervous as hell, and just do what I can to not mess up.
What was some of the
other way to put it? It was one of the biggest, turning from Jackson James, the referee, into the reveal, into what we went into. It still gives me chills just thinking about it today. It still makes me nervous, and I don't have to ever do it again. But it was exciting. It was nervous. It was everything you think it would be.
All right, Zane.
Let's kick on over to the bearded wonder himself, Zane Baszler.
Well, I have seen that you have an event coming up in Houston, Texas on March 6th for Coastal Wrestling Federation. Can you tell us a little about that event?
That's it. Yeah, we're going out there. Last time I was there, I took the belt from Slam Shady.
Is it the real Slam Shady?
Me and old Slam Shady are going to go at it again, and I plan on keeping the belt. That's all there is to that. I don't know what he's got up his sleeve, but according to the last match, it ain't much.
Well, so that's,
bring it on, Slam Shady. You better get your Wheaties.
That's coming up for our fans, our listeners in Houston, Texas, and that is at the old Rodeo Arena in Houston, Texas. That's on March 6th, where Mr. Garett Bischoff will be appearing. Can you tell us a little about your charity work that you've done? I know that you help out veterans. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, I don't have a specific one I work for, but I do jump in on anything I can. Military has always been something that I was interested in. I did almost sign on that dotted line at one point. I didn't, however, but I still am a huge advocate of our, U.S. military. huge supporter of our U.S. military and the men and women who go over there and kick ass so that we have the chance to do, what we can do it here at home. So any chance that I get to be involved in any charity that involves our military, I'm all about. There's a couple of people that I've become very good friends with, Liquid Eyewear. They're huge supporters of it. I have friends and family, including a brother-in-law in the Marines. I'm currently working with a group of ex-military and current military individuals through the Sonoran Desert Institute, SDI.edu, where I'm actually going through their advanced gunsmithing program currently, and as of today have become one of their education liaisons, and I'll be going on full time with them hopefully here very soon. Traveling around to military bases and gun shows, supporting the SDI.edu Institute, Sonoran Desert Institute, and they have a lot of different courses you can take: armory, gunsmithing, advanced gunsmithing, and this institute does do things through the GI Bill and whatnot. So. Everything I can do, I'm an avid hunter, I'm an avid shooter, I'm a gun collector, and like I said, huge supporter of our military. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here doing what we can do, and I wouldn't have the opportunity to be out traveling the world and, getting my head bounced off a turnbuckle for a living. So I appreciate what they do, and it's everything I can do to give back, and it's all worth it.
And do you still have One Bad Cat going on?
Absolutely. One Bad Cat Incorporated. It's a clothing line I started, apparel line, which I'm actually looking to convert into One Bad Cat Customs, or One Bad Cat Incorporated Customs. We're going to be working on, right now it's just apparel, women's and men's and kids, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, tanks, tees, the whole 9 yards. And I'm looking to expand that into customization, hydrocoating, and mostly for guns. But we can do anything anything you want hydrocoated or custom painted. One Bad Cat Incorporated is going to be able to do it.
Well, and that logo is sweet. Did you come up with that, or did somebody do that for you?
Myself and my original tattoo artist came up with that together. We had a couple hours and one or two adult beverages and a few pencils and erasers, and
counting or anything, right?
We sat down for a little while and just sketched and erased, and I'd sketch a little bit of mine, and he'd sketch a little of his, and then we'd trade and we'd finish the other one's work, and finally we came up with that logo, and that's kind of how it came to be. And it got tattooed on my arm, good Lord, probably about almost 10 years ago. And just in the last 3 years, I decided to do something with it. And One Bad Cat Incorporated was born.
Well, and our listeners can go to the ONE badcatinc.com and check all that out, because there's some really sweet gear on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, onebadcat.com. That's it. And Twitter is @OneBadCatInc. INC. One Bad Cat Inc.
So you mentioned that your beard's getting a little out of hand, and I like that. You've got tattoos. Do you have any Zubaz?
How do I do that?
Do you have any Zubaz?
Zubaz. No, I don't. But, however, speaking of Luke Doc Gallows, I saw a picture he put up on Twitter the other day about some sweet pink ones. Might need to find them.
Sweet. We need to get together in Houston, Texas, wearing our Zubaz and some fanny packs and maybe a Halliburton case. Does that sound cool?
Hey, I'm in, brother. I'm in like Flint.
Well, hey, tell our listeners how they can follow your career and everything that's going on with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can catch me on Twitter. It's @Garett Bischoff. It's the verified one. There's plenty of fake ones out there, so make sure to look for the little blue check.
If it has two R's in it, guys, then you know it's fake.
That's it. 1 R, 2 T's. You can follow, like I said, my company Twitter page at One Bad Cat Inc. You can follow me on Facebook, and at Garett Bischoff. One Bad Cat also has a Facebook page. So those are the main ways to get a hold, kind of watch what's going on. And, there's a lot to come. There's this new exciting experience we're going on with the SBI Institute. That's going to be a fun one. So keep track of that, especially for all you enthusiasts, hunting, shooting, and, gun collector activists. Please keep an eye out for everything we're doing there because it's going to be a good time.
Well, and hey, can you do me one solid? Next time you see Jason Hervey, can you tell him I said hi? He doesn't know me, but I have wanted to talk to that guy.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to kick it back over to Rick.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show with Garett Bischoff. We're wrapping it up with a couple of wrestling questions before we let you go, Garett, if we could. When you were talking about all the people who are training you, obviously on TNA, it was referred as Hulk Hogan was the one who was training you. How much influence did he really have as far as your in-ring abilities and things like that? And as far as your persona and things as that matters?
Hulk had a great influence on everything I did. And honestly, dating back to when I was a kid, I've known him for so long. The guys that I talked about earlier, obviously, were the guys that trained me physically in the ring and mentally too. But, Hulk was always there in the background and always there by my side. And anytime I had a question, all I had to do was ask him. Anytime he had something to tell me, I shut up and listened. And he's been an an influential, individual, and still is to this day. I still see him 2 or 3 times a week, and we still talk. And he's a great man. I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to be able to call my friend and be able to talk to him every a couple times a week.
Now, how cool is it, from a teenage and on, to be able to say that you have had Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair influence you? Not very many people can say that.
No, and like I said, it all comes. To this day, I'm still humbled about it, and I don't like really talking about it too much, and not because not to do the wrong thing, but it's I feel overly lucky and blessed and fortunate to be able to have the opportunity to have those guys to have tutored me and given me their wisdom, and the fact that they felt that I deserve their tutelage is very humbling, and I just soak up every bit of it that I can whenever I can, and I'm fortunate for it. I appreciate it more than anybody will ever know, and continue to this day.
All right, Garett, last one for you before we let you go. What is your ultimate goal in this profession? I mean, when your wrestling days are over, do you see yourself doing what Dad did, or do you see you owning a federation, or what's the ultimate goal after the in-ring career is over?
My ultimate goal is to have have raised a happy family, just like my old man did. He raised my family up great. I want to do the same thing. That's my ultimate goal. And whatever it takes to do that, whether it's in the ring, outside the ring, in this business or not, that's my ultimate goal.
You know what, Garett? You are one bad cat.
Well, thank you very much.
Hey, we have a lot of respect for you. We appreciate you very much coming on, and hopefully we can do it again sometime. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, you have dabbled with the NWA down in Florida, Mr. Huckabee. You might get a challenge from Garett Bischoff for your NWA Continental title at some point soon. What do you think, Garett?
Hey, you want to jump in the ring with one bad cat? I'm game, brother.
That's so funny. I just tweeted that on Twitter that maybe we could see Huckabee versus Bischoff in the near future.
Hey, I love it.
Let's make it happen. You heard it first on the Undisputed Wrestling Show.
Let's give the fans what they want to see. Let's do it, baby.
That's right. Garett, thank you, brother. We appreciate it very much. And like I said, hope to have you on again soon. Much respect to you, and good luck with everything you choose to do.
Thank you very much, and thank all of you for having me on. I very much appreciate it.
Absolutely. Garett Bischoff tonight on the Undisputed Wrestling Show.